trust yourself always, first and foremost, is my number one piece of advice. Trust yourself. If you want to create that shit, start creating that shit. It takes time. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but you know what? The time's going to fucking pass anyway. So spend it doing shit you love.
Welcome back to the FEmpower podcast. I am your host, Sarah Hockett, and today I have a very special guest, my good friend, Annie Sisson. She is the founder and an empowerment coach at Into the Bold. If you're interested in checking her out, you can check her out at intothebold.com. Annie is just super near and dear to my heart. Our businesses are super parallel. She helps women create the lives and businesses that they love by finding what really lights them up and finding a way to make that their living. So, Annie, do you want to say hello?
Hello. Thanks for having me. This is so fun.
I am so glad to have you. So, the topic that we are discussing today is the lies that women are told our entire lives. And you and I have talked about this so many times. Like, there's so many things you hear, I swear to God, from birth, and most of it's fucking bullshit. So I always love your take on this. Do you want to start with some of the lies that we're told as women?
Oh gosh. Okay. There's so many. There's so many. I mean, for me, so many of them started with appearance, right? Like those are the things from the time that we're small, that we have to look a certain way. You're only feminine if your hair is long, right? Here's my shaggy cut. That makeup is basically an essential requirement for being an acceptable woman. And so much of it isn't just lies, it's the contradictions, right? Like,
big time.
Don't be sexy, but not too sexy. Be like, your skirt has to be just exactly the right length or you were fucking asking for it. Like,
and they start that in schools even with the fucking finger test. Like, oh, guess what? I'm someone who I've always been a long person. So like I have these super ridiculously long monkey arms. And even as a child, it was fucking impossible to find something that went past my fingertips.
Same. I'm the same way. Like my wingspan is longer than my actual height. And so I have the same thing. Like I have super long arms. And where's the requirement for the boys?
Exactly.
Right? Like it's our job to make sure that they're not aroused. Fuck you. No. No.
Maybe teach them to be better instead of teaching us that we have to cover everything.
Right. Teach them impulse control. Not
exactly.
It's not my job to make you able to handle yourself. No.
Right. Well, I mean, the same thing goes for like, just like you were saying, like, oh, the skirt was too short. She was asking for it. Like, no, absolutely not. Like, and I've heard this before. Like the case for that is like, you don't hear a lot of cases of lesbian rape, like,
nope.
It's not really a thing because, I can be an attractive woman and someone could see an attractive woman and nobody's going to like lose their fucking shit, lose their impulse control.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly. So, it starts with those things. And so we try, and the most frustrating part, of course, is that as we grow up and as we are bombarded with all of these messages, especially beauty standards. And then, we can get into all the workplace shit too, but we try and, so then as, we don't know any better. We're young, we're impressionable. We're trying to just be okay and be accepted and be loved and belong and all of these things. And so we find ourselves denying who we really are and trying to fit into these boxes that we're not made to fit in. That's right. They're boxes of someone else's creation to make them feel more comfortable with my presence. Like,
yep.
No, absolutely not. That's not my job. My job is not to make you comfortable with me just being me. Fuck you.
Yeah, and like what I really don't understand sometimes is people's just urge to comment on things that, like, why? Like you were talking about hair before. I've been someone who my hair is always varying lengths. Sometimes it's super short and I get tired of it and I whack it all off where it's extra short like yours. And like I've had people in my family at my own home as an adult come to my home and go, why did you cut off all your hair? You look like a boy. I'm going to be very clear right now. There is no way on earth I can ever look like a boy.
Right?
And
Like,
even if I did, who fucking cares?
that's just it. Like, that's the part that I think we have to reach, and that's part of our own power, stepping into our own feminine power. It's like, there's no one right way to be a woman. If you don't like
Exactly.
this version of how a woman is, I don't actually care. Like, okay, don't care, because I have done my work in trying to figure out what that looks like for me. Like, there's a lot of unprogramming, like deprogramming, unlearning shit that we have to do, I feel like, as we reach adulthood and create the lives that we want, right? Like, we have to figure out what that is, and what parts of what I've been told to be or that I've been trying to be to fit in don't work for me. Like, and giving yourself permission to stop doing them, to say no, to rewrite your own standards for what it means to be a woman in the world.
Well, and I think a lot of times it's just even figuring out who you are, like what that means to you, because it means something different to everyone, and that's okay. But we have, like you said, all these boxes that people are trying to put us in. I think a lot of folks, like a lot of women, you get into your 20s and you're like, well, I'm supposed to fit here and I'm supposed to fit here and I'm supposed to fit here. And sometimes none of it fits. Like I busted all my fucking boxes by the time I hit 30. I was like, what the hell am I doing here? None of this shit fits. I don't want any of it. Like, I'm just gonna burn it all to the ground.
Same. I did the same thing between, I mean, it started with relationships in my mid 20s. I got divorced at, like, right before my divorce was final, like a week after my 26th birthday. Um, that was my, like, hard break with all of the relationship bullshit that we're told. That I was just like, nope, never again. All of these things are bullshit. Absolutely not. But I had to go through that to figure out what that looked like for me. Like, that traditional relationship values are not what I value, and not
Right.
how I want to have a partner. Like, that doesn't, like the submissive, the man is the leader of the house, all of that, more lies we're told, right? Um,
Right.
all of those things, or that compromise. I mean, there are discussions and you decide, but that relationships are work, and relationships are hard, and that relationships are all about compromise. That's bullshit. It
Total
shouldn't be
bullshit.
that hard. It
Nope. If
shouldn't
it's
be a
that
bunch
hard,
of
it's the wrong person.
compromises. Exactly. And especially if you're compromising away your own values and worth, then it's absolutely not the right thing. Like, no. And, like,
And
the idea of having children, that died in my 20s. Like, that's not for me. And that doesn't,
yeah, like
right,
it wasn't for me either. Like I reached a certain point where at first, like I thought, well, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. And I just kept thinking, well, I'm not ready. And at the same time, I had all these people saying like, oh, you're going to change your mind. You're going to change your mind. And then like I hit about 27 or so. And I was like, it's not even that I'm not ready. It's I don't want to do that. And I fucking hate the people that say, oh, well, what if you regret it? Like, well, what if I had a kid and regret it? Wouldn't that be worse?
right. Oh my God. The thing that makes me, I worked in a very, very conservative area. I live in Utah. So I worked in a very conservative part of the state. And it was, yeah, I was in my, because I felt the same way. Like, I'm not really sure I want to have kids. I was in my first marriage, and it was like, I mean, I'm in my mid 20s. I've heard about this biological clock thing. Um, Maybe that's a thing that will happen later. Maybe I do want kids, just not with this asshole.
Yeah.
And so I didn't write it off entirely. And then, yeah, it was when it was my first trip overseas. I hadn't even left the airport, and I was like, and done. I'm not having children because I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, now I don't get so much shit because I'm older. But
See,
that was,
about to be 36 and I still get that shit sometimes. Like, oh, you guys didn't have any kids, or you bought a house and you didn't put kids in it? Like, no, that was our choice. Like, that's a choice that my husband and I made together. We didn't want to have kids. Like, and you know what? Like, if someone does want to have kids, that's fine. Like, I had my niece, she's a wonderful mother. She's a stay-at-home mother. She has 4 children and she had her children young. And people are like, oh my God, why do you want to have like Pick one, folks.
Right. There's always, and that's just it. And that's the thing that we discover over time, right? That no matter what you do as a woman, there's going to be someone who thinks you should do the opposite. And
Absolutely.
yes, like, yeah, whether now you have 4 kids, why'd you have so many kids? Well, you have
Yeah.
1 kid, but doesn't your kid need a sibling?
Yes.
But
Like, and
like,
you know what? My response to that at this point is always like, I don't really think that's any of your business. Like, it's not. Fuck off.
yeah. But the thing that made me want to like just lose my shit were you'll change your mind. My response was always, you know what? You're probably right. Cause I just decided this last night. Haven't really thought about it. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you're probably right. And this one is the one that I was always just like, I don't know what planet you live on. Um, who's going to take care of you when you're old?
Oh my God. I've had that one so much. And especially like, some of my background was nonprofit. So when you travel to other like developing nations, a lot of women in developing nations are just taken aback completely and totally by the fact that I am, like in my mid 30s and I don't have any children. And the question that I always get there is like, who's going to take care of you? And like, I can understand that question some in a very like underdeveloped nation, like that's the way that they've always done things. But then like when I'm in that situation and I would explain like, like first of all, like I don't want to have kids for the purpose of someone to take care of me. Like I don't want to be a burden on anyone when I'm older. Like, but especially like if this were my child and I love them, like I don't want to be like take care of me. But also, like there are so many options that you have that don't include it having to be, a child or a loved one. So like that's a non-issue.
Well, and you're
Um,
also assuming that you're going to have that your relationships with your children are going to have no problems,
right,
that your children are going to outlive you, that you
right.
are like you're assuming so many things in their ability to care for you. Like, and why are you putting pressure like that expectation on your child from like before conception? Like,
Yeah.
what?
Like that's not like personally for me that is not a reason to have a child. But then like I can understand it again in that type of a culture why I would get asked that question. But again, as I would explain like, like this is just not what I want. And you would always be met with understanding even though it's something that has not really been experienced there. However, when I'm home and I'm stateside and people still ask me the same thing, now I'm the one that's taken aback. Like, what? Are you serious? Like, why are you asking this? Like, why would you assume that I would have a child for the purpose of having someone to take care of me when I'm old? Like,
It's not 1923. Like,
no.
what? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So yes, there are those, and then also, like you were saying, breaking out of those boxes. The career one was probably the hardest for me. Um, the relationship one was like, well, you're an asshole. I'm not putting up with that shit anymore, and I'm never putting up with that shit again, ever,
Right.
ever, ever. So that was, I mean, that was super powerful for me of to just get really clear on what I want, what I'm willing to put, like my non negotiables. This is what I need. This is what I absolutely will not stand for. And I'm not willing to compromise it.
Yeah.
Full stop. Like just to have a man, just to have a relationship, man or woman, whatever. I
Right.
happen to like men. Um, but that I'm not willing to sacrifice my own standards for any relationship. I choose me over having a partner.
Right. Always. Well, and like you and I've had this discussion too. Like for someone else to be brought into that circle of like, they're going to be this huge part of your life. Like they need to be bringing something amazing to that and not have any expectation of you being someone else.
Absolutely. For me, so I did a stint of online dating when I moved back to Utah. It wasn't even that I was really looking for a relationship as much as meeting people. I was not yet familiar with meetup.com. I didn't know that there were other ways to like meet other humans. It was 2008. We didn't even have, smartphones yet. Um, or 2000, yeah, it was early 2008. So I did that for a while. I mean, I met some cool people, whatever. There were no relationships that happened. But like after a few months, I was just like, I haven't yet gone on a date or had more fun with one of these people than I have just being by myself. Like, if you, and maybe, I don't know, whatever, some people call this bitchy or I don't care. Um, but yeah, basically, if you don't add something to my life, I don't fucking have time for you.
Yeah, I mean,
and
it's true.
and vice versa. Like, I don't, and I mean that in that, like, it has to be a mutually beneficial
Right.
relationship. If I don't bring something extra and positive to your life that's better than you being alone, then you shouldn't be with me either.
Right. And I apply that rule to all relationships. That's for friendships, that's for family members, that's everybody.
I agree. And oh, the family member thing,
Ooh.
I know. Like, I mean, well, there's one of the other lies we're told. Family is forever. Family is, you have to stand by your family no matter what. No, absolutely not. Just because we share DNA does not mean I have to put up with your bullshit.
Right. And I mean, like, the unfortunate thing is so many families don't accept people for who they are. And that goes back to the children thing. Like, you think your child's going to take care of you if you didn't accept them for who they are? No.
Right.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, and like, we talk about, like, I've got a couple other points I definitely want to hit with you. But like one of the things, like when you're talking about like a romantic relationship, like some of that has to go with who that person is, because like men are taught a lot of things about women as well. Like in my household, most of my marriage, I've been the primary breadwinner. And I know that there are men out there that would be completely just lose their minds over that. Like, I don't understand that, because like for us, everything is a partnership. Like, while he doesn't, like, he brings so much to the table, it never fucking matters that, I might make more money, but like it's never been a thing for us. Like, and it never will be a thing for us, because like that's who he is. But like I said, I know there are so many people, like, and like he's caught shit for different things before, like, oh, your wife went and traveled without you. Like, yeah, she's fine. Like, you let your wife go do this. And he, like, his response is always like, first of all, she's a grown up. She makes her own decisions. And like, she's going to do what she wants. And like, that's how this works. We are two individual people. Like, while we have a partnership for our household, we are two individual people. And I know that you've experienced the same thing, because you're a traveler as well. And sometimes you travel without Stan.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, my husband and I we agreed from day one, we don't share money. Period. We split the bills 50-50 down the middle. And we've been together 11 years now. And we just last year made our first joint purchase of our camper van.
Yeah.
That is the only piece of joint property that we own together.
Yeah.
We split everything down the middle. People think that's fucking weird. Like, even when we travel together, this is what we do because it works. And I can tell you exactly how many fights we've had about money. Fucking zero.
Yeah.
It's never a thing. If I say I'm going to go traveling for 6 weeks, it's never a conversation about money or anything. And
Yeah.
yes, he has definitely, like, and you know, his circle is, fairly enlightened men, but he has totally had that conversation because I did like a big 6-week solo trip in 2015. And I do like to travel by myself. That's one of my ways of reconnecting to me and, filling my cup. I love solo travel.
Yeah.
But he has definitely gotten that from friends. Like, you just let Annie go for 6 weeks. And this is one of the things I absolutely adore about my husband. And he is just like, oh, I would love to see you tell Annie Sisson what she can and can't do and let me know how that goes.
Yeah.
Like, step one, I don't let her do anything. She is her own woman. Like,
Yes.
yes, we take each other into consideration always. Of course, like, does this work for you? Whatever, but it's never a permission thing.
Absolutely. And like,
And oh, go ahead.
no, I was to say, like, I used to travel for work a lot all the time. So it'd be like, I'm in a different continent, I'm in a different country, like, or sometimes I'm at a conference just across the nation. Like, I remember one of his coworkers once, who is a baby boomer, old white man. Um, sorry, anybody who's a normal, like, well-rounded baby boomer, but like, there's a lot of old white men who still share a lot of beliefs about like what relationships are and what women are and how we should be and how we should act. And I was at a conference for work in Las Vegas. And, this guy was asking my husband, like, oh, I can't believe you let her go to Las Vegas. She went to Las Vegas without you. And he's like, she's working, she's doing her job. Like, and here's the weird thing, like, she's an individual and we have a very good relationship and I trust her. So she can do whatever the hell she wants.
That's one of the many lies that we are told as women, is that we somehow need permission to do what the fuck we want.
Right.
What? Where men feel totally empowered, and not only empowered and entitled to be able to do whatever they want. They have been told, I mean, let us not be unclear. They receive plenty of negative programming around being men.
Right.
There's plenty of toxic masculinity and all of that shit too. This is not just a woman problem.
Absolutely.
But like, they receive from day one that information that you can be whatever you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do. All you have to do is go for it.
Yeah.
Right. And while as women, we may get some of that messaging from like the people who are closest to our life, the societal messaging is, nah, bitch, sit back and wait your turn. The gents get to go first. They get the first pick of everything. Like, we are programmed to expect less in success and happiness than our male counterparts, simply because we are women, for no other reason than we are women. You don't get to have as much.
Yeah. And I mean, like,
fuck you.
What's even worse is when you're in a workplace, and I've had this happen to me on multiple occasions, where it became very clear that I was being treated differently in the workplace because I was a woman. And the very worst ones were a couple of times women, like women bosses that would be like, oh, hey, you did a great job, this year. And I know we talked about giving you a raise, and gosh, you've gone above and beyond expectations, but we're just not going to do a raise right now. Like, excuse me? Like, well, we're not going to do a raise right now because it's not our fault that your husband likes to play video games and can't support you. What? That's a real conversation that I had with a woman who was my boss.
Like, what the fuck does my husband have to do with my performance at work and me being paid what I'm worth? I am very confused by this.
Exactly. Like, what in the world? Like, it was surprising, but also like, and that was exactly my response. Like, what does whatever the hell my husband wants to do, what does that have to do with what I do here? Like, nothing.
And what did they say? Like, what was the response to that question?
You have to know. She was so taken aback that I was like, I'm sorry, like, I don't see how that has any bearing on my salary or my performance or anything like that. Like, I really think that you need to reconsider, because like, I don't make a lot of money here, but I do a lot of skilled work. And you just got done saying like, I've gone above and beyond and I can do anything and all these things. She was so taken aback that she basically just ended the meeting and said that we would revisit it. And we never did. I got another job. And when I put my notice in, she was like, oh, I was just about to revisit. No,
you weren't. No, you weren't.
Yeah, you weren't.
I know. That's one of the, having spent a good portion of my life in traditional corporate work, I have also had that experience. Like, the majority of the terrible management experiences I've had are with women. Which I think is so unfortunate. Like, it breaks my heart that because of the patriarchal, hierarchical fucking bullshit structure of standard corporate business in this country, that they have made it so that the women have to fight for the fucking scraps. And so you get women in management and they feel under threat by their other female counterparts because there's only so much to go around for the ladies here, that I've got to fight you to keep mine. And I'm like, bitch, I don't want your shit. I ain't trying to get your job.
No,
like, I'm just trying to do my shit. But how different would that look if we could, because women are natural collaborators. We are so good at working together and coming together for common goals. And like, it is the structure, the competitive structure of the corporate culture that keeps us fighting each other instead of coming together to build each other up, to bring our best skills to the table to meet these common goals. And so for me, I find that so incredibly disheartening when I've had those negative experiences with female management, that like, damn girl, like, don't you see what they're doing to us? When they
Right.
keep us fighting each other, we can't come together to do better work, to maybe restructure this bullshit paradigm that we're being forced into, that is meant to, from its inception, serve them, not
Exactly.
us.
Exactly.
Like, damn it. It's so, that's one of those that like just breaks my heart and
It does.
is so frustrating.
Right. Like, and I mean, like, I've seen people in that position and where they feel threatened by other, women in the workplace. And like you said, it's just absolutely heartbreaking. Like, if you could just stop trying to compete for a second and work with these other women who work with you, you could change it. You can make it better for all of you. Instead, you'll keep trying to push everyone down and push everyone away. And in the end, nothing ever changes. Like that's not the way to drive change, is to work against each other.
Well, exactly, but that's the point. The patriarchy doesn't want it to change. So they
Right.
have to keep us, I mean, this goes all the way up beyond, I mean, we'll keep it simple, but I will not go on a tangent about this. Um but it's, I mean, those in power, those who have created the system to serve them, it it is in their best interest to keep the people who could disrupt things fighting each other, so they don't stop and realize there are more of them than there are of you. And if you really want fucking change, all you got to do is come together. So they purposely make it so that it's competitive and a constant fight, because then we can't actually deal with the real problem when we're fighting each other.
Right. Exactly. And like the thing is like you and I, we have very parallel paths. As I said at the very beginning of this episode, we have very parallel paths. But here's the thing, like I want to support you, you want to support me. Instead of saying like, oh shit, maybe she's gonna be my competition. Like, hey, what are you doing like that I can support? Like, how can I support that? What do you need? Like, maybe I know someone. Like, that's how we make things work.
Well, and even like, since we are doing the same, like we have similar missions, how can we combine forces to have a bigger impact and to help each other get there? Like, why not pool our resources? If you're really good at this thing and I'm really good at this other thing, and we're driving at the same mission, why wouldn't we help each other get there? Because there are going to be, and this is the thing that I think gets lost in the traditional culture of our corporatist society, um, is that just because we're doing the same thing doesn't necessarily mean we're in competition. Someone's
Right.
going to resonate with how I show up, how I work, what I do. Other people aren't. And they're going to
Right.
look at what you're doing, and that's going to resonate with them, and they're going to want to work with you. And like, there's enough to go around. Like, we all
Yes.
have, right, like we are all given these gifts for us to use. It's not about keeping somebody else from shining so that you get more light or some shit, because that's not how it works.
Nope.
The more we can do this together and the more we support each other, the more women have opportunities to find empowerment, to find messages that resonate with them, to do their own work, to engage with other women and build these communities and all of this stuff. The more we highlight other women's work, the more opportunity we give the people we want to serve to find what works for them too. Like,
Absolutely. I mean, like it's a long time, like a few years ago, I was in Malawi and I was in a village, and I actually I share this story even on my website, just a little snippet of it. But like we were in like this huge gathering, and someone was telling a story, and this story always resonates with me, and it's so applicable to what you're saying right now, because it's if you have a candle with a flame and you keep that candle to yourself your whole fucking life and do nothing else with that, you're going to have a little bit of light your whole life. But then when you die, that flame is extinguished and then everything is dark. However, you have a candle and you have a flame and you use that candle to light the flames of other people's candles, and they in turn do the same. Now the whole world is light long after you're gone. And that's how you create the change. You share the things that you have knowledge on, like you help each other, you lift each other up, and then this wonderful thing starts to happen. Everybody is moving forward in a direction that we can all get behind.
Exactly. Like, it doesn't have to be this hard. Like, it doesn't have to be that hard. It doesn't have to be, it's that total scarcity mindset that there's a limited supply of success available, which, we could get into defining success, but like that there's a limited supply of awesomeness available. No, there's not. The people in charge want you to believe that, because then you help create their dream. You make them money instead of doing what you really want to do, because they make you believe that you can't, that there's not enough for you, that there's not enough certainly for you, and then to help other people win at the same time. No, no, no. That's bad business, right? No, you have to smash the competition. Like, this is insane.
It's insane. Just like you said, like it's not like if I have something great that you can't also have something great. Like it doesn't work that way. Like it doesn't have to be a competition. It shouldn't be a competition.
I
So
agree.
let me ask you this. So that scarcity thinking that it has to be a competition and there's only so much and I need to get it for me, that is in a lot of people, men and women. So, what is your best advice for someone who feels that collaboration or supporting other women or other people in general is not possible because they feel like it takes something away from them? What advice would you have for that person for getting out of that mindset?
Ooh, that's a good question and a tricky one. For me, I think start building community. Like, start surrounding yourself with people who are collaborators, who are creators, who are doing the things that you admire. And you will find, this has been a revelation for me over the last couple of years. You will find that they don't fucking do it alone. You
Right.
can't do it alone. I mean, community and connections are everything. And not in like this skeezy, networky way, like I got my network of who can I call for this shit, not like that, but in like true relationships and true connections. Every single business owner that I know who has been successful, who has made this work, has not done it by themselves. They have surrounded themselves with people who lift them up, who encourage them, who have knowledge that they are willing to share. They have mentors, they have colleagues, they have people. Like, I do this when I finish my website. I have a handful of people that I send it out to, and like, hey, can you give me feedback? Just,
Yep.
it takes 10 minutes for you to like look through it, send me a couple things, tell me what you think. And I love to do the same for them. Like that, you can't do it in a vacuum. The first business I ever started, I tried to do it in a vacuum. Let me tell you, it was a disaster. Like, it was a total disaster. Nothing happened. I made fucking $0, zero motherfucking dollars, because I had this idea in my head that I can just build this thing and I can put it out there and people will find it and this is going to be amazing. Let me tell
Yeah,
you, friends, that is not how this shit works. It's
it's just
not.
not true. No, you cannot DIY everything yourself and expect it to go well.
Well, and if you're the only one talking about it, if you're the only one invested in it, if you're the only one that cares about it, I mean, you might be able to get there, but it's going to take you so much longer
Right.
than if you build those supportive, collaborative, and maybe you're not sharing. Maybe it's not something where like you've built your business and you're giving somebody a chunk of the money from it, or maybe it's not like that. But even simply having those colleagues and mentors that you can go to for brainstorming or for feedback. Like, someone helping you come up with ideas or you helping someone else come up with ideas does not mean that now there are less ideas for you.
Right.
Now that means that you've got more brain power helping you create these ideas. So as far as like switching out of that mindset, like you just have to, I mean, a great book that had really helped me in some ways with this was Jen Sincero's You're a Badass at Making Money,
It's a
of
good one.
getting out of that scarcity mindset of
Yep.
like, no, you have to believe that we are told, oh Lord, the deep scarcity mindset programming that I have. I mean, it's a constant, like I have to constantly work on that.
Yeah.
Um, but we are programmed to believe that we live in a world where there's not enough.
And that couldn't
And
be further from the truth.
right, that's simply not true. You have to truthfully, you're going to have to do your own work. You're going to have to dig into your bullshit. You're going to have to find those old stories. You're going to have to find those beliefs that you carry around that are holding you back from, I mean, oh Lord, what I have said. I don't know if I've said this to you, but I have said this to so many of my colleagues and friends in the last, I don't know, couple of years. Like, if you want to find out where all of your bullshit is buried, all of your limiting beliefs, all of your old stories, all of the ways that you hold yourselves back, start a fucking business. You have to
True.
confront every single one of them if you want to be successful. And
Absolutely.
that's I feel like that is one of the biggest ones, is getting past that scarcity, realizing that the universe or the world, life itself doesn't have it out to get you. Like it's not trying to keep you down. That is not how you weren't put here just to be kept in a box and to be
Right.
kept down.
Right.
Like you have been given these skills and abilities and these dreams and these ideas because I just finished reading Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic. So this is like extra. But because life wants you to bring them into the world. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, why would life hold all of the resources back from you to make that happen?
Right.
And you have to, like, that's the biggest shift in mindset. You have to get to the place where you believe that you love your work and that your work loves you back and wants you to be fucking successful. And that if you keep showing up, it's not always going to be easy. God, no, it's not easy. It's challenging. It's heartbreaking. And then there are moments of absolute bliss and joy and something works and you make a difference and all of that. But that life is going to show up and give you the people and the resources and what you need to make that successful. But you have to be open to it. If you
Yep.
believe that it's not fucking possible, you're never going to find those opportunities. You're never going to see them when they show up for you. You're going to find all of the reasons in the world to shut it down because we, whether we want to or not, we confirm our own beliefs, we confirm our
Right.
own biases. So
Yep.
if you believe that the world wants to keep you down and that you can never be successful, you're never going to fucking be successful.
Exactly.
You are never going to be open to those opportunities. So that is the like core belief shift that has to happen, is that I love my work. Life wants me to do this. This is where I am feeling pulled and called. So I'm going to do that. And I've got to believe that if I stay open to the opportunities, they're going to show up for me, and that I need to tap into those people that are being brought into my life. And also, like we were talking about all relationships before, also, how can I be reciprocal? I need help
Absolutely.
with this thing. How can I also help them?
Absolutely. And I think another small piece, like not a small piece, another large piece that goes with that is just feeling deserving. And I think that goes back to what we were talking at the very beginning of this conversation, like all the stuff we're told from the time that we're, children. it, we grow up as adults and we think that we don't deserve or to go after the things that we want, or we think like, oh, life just has one path. I'm supposed to go get a husband, get a job, have some kids, and that's what I'm supposed to do. And if that's your path, that's fine. But if it's not your path, then you need to figure out what your path is, and you need to understand that everyone's paths are different, and you do deserve to be on the path that lights you up.
Yes, I totally agree. And this is one of the things I work with a lot when I work with my clients is self-worth. And where, because as women, oh, the programming runs so deep that we are told to basically look every fucking where but inside ourselves for worth, for
Yep.
validation, whether your worth comes from being a good mother, being productive,
Yep.
um,
The productivity
being a
trap.
caretaker. Oh, the productivity. That's mine. Productivity is a good one for me.
Same.
But also the caretaker. Like
Yep.
we are taught that our job as women is to take care of everyone else.
Yep.
How often were you told growing up to take care of yourself? Fucking never.
Never.
Never. As women, our worth is determined by how well we basically are selfless, how much we absolutely deny ourselves is our value. Like that is the programming women receive from, yes, basically from birth, is that your role in caretaking for your husband, kids, family, colleagues, whatever, but letting everybody else giving is your value.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's such a mindset that's so deep set for so many women. It's really hard to break, and it shows up in so many ways. Like, oh, I can't say no, so now I have all these things on my plate because I can't say no to anything. Guilty. And in so many other aspects of your life, like not just career, but your whole life, like, and you got to break that, like you. And for me personally too, this is one of the most difficult things to break. Like, say no, understanding
Mm.
I do not have to be productive to be valuable. Just all of these little things, and they're all things that started when I was a kid.
Yeah, totally. Saying no, I've gotten boundary. That is one of my favorite things to work on with people is saying no and boundaries.
Yep.
Like, oh, because that is one of those things that it wasn't always that way, but I've gotten real fucking good at it. Like,
Same.
no, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I also don't owe you further explanation.
Exactly. That's the other thing.
No,
Like
the answer is
sometimes
just fucking no.
just no. No, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not here for that. No, I'm not showing up for that. Like, no, just no. And that's another thing I think, like, I think it's one of the baby steps when you start saying no that, you're like, no, because, well, like, no, full stop.
Full stop.
Yeah.
I do not owe you an explanation about why I am in charge of my life and running it how I want to.
Right.
Just no, I don't have time for that thing, or no, that doesn't interest me. No, I can't bend over backwards and do your fucking job for you.
Right.
Nope.
Nope.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. Like, nope, I'm not showing up for that family thing. Nope, I'm not taking on that work project. Like, no is okay.
And no, and the other one I hate, this is another rant I can go on, is I fucking hate the word should. Like, I
Oh,
feel like should is the thing that keeps us stuck in other people's expectations. We shame the shit out of ourselves for
and each other.
things we should do.
Hmm.
Who the fuck said you should? And
Right.
this is the big one for me is who benefits by your compliance?
Right.
If you do the thing, who's actually benefiting?
Right.
Oh, I should put on makeup today. Why?
Like, do you want to?
Right. Why? Who benefits if you do that?
Right.
And so then my other thing is reframing, like, if there is something that I need to get done, like, oh, I should do my laundry. Okay. I would like to have some clean socks for next time I want to go for a walk. So instead of should, I will go, you know what? I choose to do my laundry. I'm going to go do my laundry because I want to have clean socks. Like, I want that outcome. I am not going to shame myself into doing it. I'm going to choose it, which allows me to have a totally different energy about it. Like, I'm doing this because I want to have the clean socks. It's not because some shameful thing that someone somewhere in the ether of our social, messaging said that I should have clean laundry once a week.
Yeah.
Nope, just want some socks. So
Yep.
I'm choosing to do this. This isn't about a shame thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I fucking hate the word should. We should remove it entirely from our vocabularies.
You know that you just used it in that sentence. We
I
should
did.
remove it.
We need to. It needs to die in a
Yes.
fire.
That's better. That's
I
better.
know.
I like it.
I know. I do that every once, and I'm like, no, not should.
Not
It
should.
it would be beneficial if we did not use that
I like
to
it.
shame ourselves into doing shit we don't actually fucking care about.
I
And that's
like
the
it.
other thing. That's what so much of it is.
It
Is
is.
like
Absolutely.
trying to get us to do shit we don't actually care about, and then we feel guilty because we didn't do the thing that we actually don't give a fuck about, but we think that we're supposed to because somebody somewhere put that should story in our brain.
Yeah, for me, whenever a should comes up, what I just tell myself is like, it's the first question is it a priority? Like, oh, I should go do this. Like, is it a priority? No. What my priority right now is, XYZ, not this thing over there. So some like if something in my brain says, oh, you should go do that. First question I always ask myself is that a priority?
Yeah.
Most of
Or
the time,
I'll
it's
ask,
not.
where did that come from? Who says I should?
Yeah, exactly.
Who put that there?
Yeah,
Do I need it? If not, we're just gonna chuck that in the garbage can. No more.
absolutely, absolutely. All right. Any last words of advice?
Mostly just don't let people fucking stop you from doing what you love. Like, if there's something that you're interested in or something you want to create or whatever magic you want to make in the world, like, you have something to give. There's a reason that you love what you love. There's a reason that you're drawn to the things that you're drawn to. Follow that. Trust yourself always, first and foremost, is my number one piece of advice. Trust yourself. If you want to create that shit, start creating that shit. It takes time. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but you know what? The time's going to fucking pass anyway. So spend it doing shit you love. The more you can minimize the should things, the programming, the things that we spend our time on that don't bring us joy, minimize as much of that as you can and make your own happiness a fucking priority.
I love it. That's great advice. Thank you so much for joining me today, Annie. And again, anyone who wants to check Annie out can check her out at intothebold.com. We'll also put a link to Annie's community in the show notes since we talked a whole lot about community today. Annie's got a really awesome community over on Facebook. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.